Series of 5 questions with Guenther Witzany of Austria.
Hello, my name is Guenther Witzany. I'm a philosopher and I'm searching on the question, what is life? Why is DNA a habitat and RNA its inhabitants? This sounds like DNA is a house and RNA are the living agents in it. We must start to look at the planet as a planet of viruses. Viruses on this planet outnumber stars in the universe. They are so abundant that cellular organisms based on cells and organs are rare islands in an ocean of viruses. Since the beginning of life, viruses invade cellular organisms, those rare islands in the ocean of the virus sphere. They insert and delete, they recombine genes, they infect all cellular genomes. Disease-causing viruses are rare. Most viruses insert in host genomes without damaging or causing disease. All cells of all organisms are colonized by those viruses and remain there after infection events as defectives, as parts which can be used by the cellular life forms.
Guenther, can you tell me about biocommunication in plants?
Plants are sessile organisms in contrast to animals. They assess their surroundings, estimate how much nutrients are available and react accordingly. They can memorize and therefore are learning organisms. If we look at the communication of plants, we must look at the root zone, preferably. In the root zone there are the essential symbionts of plants, fungi and bacteria, as well as nematodes. The communication of plants depends on signaling molecules which plants produce and send to fungi and bacteria, because fungi and bacteria care for soluble nutrients without which plants cannot survive. The communication of plants functions within the plant organism and between plant organisms and between plants and non-plant organisms. Also the fungi communicate at the same level as well as the bacteria communicate, but all of these organisms with different signaling molecules. Plants are not mechanical growth automatons as previously thought. This is not correct. Plants are sensing, monitoring, and care for their kin, as well as are warning against enemies, to care for the population survival.
How could you best teach biocommunication?
If we want to teach biocommunication to the people, we have first to notice what is life, because biological communication only happens in life processes. So we have three different levels of which constitute life. So the cellular organisms, the level of cellular organisms, the level of viruses, and the level of RNA networks. They are different levels with different communication motives. So if we look at the cellular communication, we have many processes in which organisms react to abiotic influences like gravity, light, dryness. So these are different signaling processes how to react on abiotic influences. Then another level we have the communication of organisms with non-related organisms, like in symbiosis. We have the communication level of organisms with related organisms, like bees in a population, or like humans in a population, or animals, or plants, or fungi, or bacteria with related organisms. Not to forget Carl von Frisch, who exemplified the dialects of the populations of bees, which have different signalings between different populations. And then we have the signaling processes within an organism, between cells and within cells, like in plants, between the nucleus of the cell and the mitochondria and the chloroplasts. So all these levels have different kinds of signaling molecules, and all these signaling molecules are used according to three different levels of rules: the syntax, grammatics, the semantic level, and the pragmatic level. How to combine signals, molecules to signal sequences. Then the content-specific use of signaling molecules. And most importantly, the pragmatic level, the context in which signaling molecules are used. So you can use signals in different contexts, which results in different meanings.
Guenther, who was an early influence on biocommunication and cell signaling for you? Who has influenced you the most during your career?
The main person who influenced me is Jürgen Habermas. His theory of communicative action is unique in the history of philosophy and science, because he could demonstrate how communication functions and what happens if communication does not function. So this is the first one. The second is Carl von Frisch. He made research on the language of the bees and received Nobel Prize 1973 for detection of the bee language, which was a great influence for me. And then the third one is Luis Villarreal with his book Viruses and the Evolution of Life. He could demonstrate that all genetic content in all organisms since beginning of life is affected by viruses, which insert into the genomes of their hosts and edit host genomes in all dimensions.
What key elements of the things you've learnt would you like new thinkers to explore?
I would like to see that in future researchers look at biological affairs, not mechanistically, because in current biology most processes are described by concepts which look at cells, tissues, organs and organisms as machine-like automatons in a strict mechanistic manner. This is not correct. If we look at biology and communication processes in biology, we know communication cannot be defined mechanistically. There is no possibility to explain real-life communication by mathematical theories of language and communication. This is the first point. The second is the evolution process. So there's variations, and variations are explained currently by mutations, which means error replications. But if we look at viruses and their influence on life, we clearly can recognize there is no evolutionary variation without viruses. And this is not mutation and not error replication. This is genomic creativity, creative process to create new genes and insert new genomic sequences into host organisms, or change them, adapt them according to the viral and the host organism purposes. These are the 2 points.
They always go to the end of the limits.